to all the participants. This is Dr. Sabaha Sarfraz. I am basically an immunologist working as assistant professor of pathology at Dow International Medical College of Dow University of Health Sciences. Today's first lecture is about hypersensitivity reactions. We'll learn about its classification, pathophysiology, and various examples of all different types of hypersensitivity reactions. So, to begin with, we all are well aware what is the normal function of immune system. It is basically meant to eradicate infecting organisms without injuring host tissues. In contrast, if we talk about hypersensitivity, by definition, it is basically inadequately controlled, aberrant, and excessive immune response against host tissue, which is triggered by harmless environmental antigens and at times against commensal microorganisms. Basically, these hypersensitivity disorders are caused by aberrations or disturbance in the immune responses. And if we talk about the causes, then hypersensitivity diseases have different underlying cause. They could present as autoimmunity if the immune reactions are against self-antigens, which results from failure of normal mechanisms of self-tolerance, in which body start reacting against self-antigens and tissues. Then these hypersensitivity may occur as a reaction against certain microorganisms, and basically these reactions occurs in the setting of those microorganisms which are excessive and unusually present. So they may also elicit an hypersensitivity reaction. And far most common are the reaction against ubiquitous environmental antigens. Healthy individuals basically do not react against harmless environmental substances, but it has been seen that in around 20% of the individual, the immune system abnormally respond against one or multiple antigens which are present in the environment. What they do, they start producing excessive amount of immunoglobulin E that causes allergic disease. And some individuals become sensitized to environmental antigens and chemicals which come in contact, and they develop the different type of immune mechanism. They could be T cell reactions, or it subsequently lead to production of different cytokine which causes inflammation, resulting in different kind of hypersensitivity reaction. And in case of if there is a contact with certain chemicals, then it will obviously result in contact sensitivity. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Okay, so you want me to become more interactive? Okay, fine. So, what are the mechanisms? If we talk about the mechanisms of tissue injury, the cells and the molecules of the immune system which react against common pathogens are the same. The same cells and tissues play an important role in the causation of hypersensitivity disorders like innate and adaptive immune system. So, what is the difference between innate and adaptive immune responses? Anyone? What is the difference between innate and adaptive immune response?
Innate is natural immunity.
Yes, good. And what is adaptive?
Ma'am, adaptive is in response to some specific antigen, which is mediated by lymphocytes, T and B.
Okay, fair enough. This is one of the differences between the two. Innate immune system is the first line of immune defense. It is non-specific. It reacts spontaneously. It does not require priming. In contrast, adaptive immune responses are highly specific, and the main cell responders are T and B lymphocytes, and the cells take certain time to become effective, right? So these are and memory cells develop in adaptive immune responses. So, we were talking about the mechanism of innate immune system does not, in innate immune system, no memory cells develop, so that the subsequent responses with the same antigen remains the same. Which, in contrast to adaptive immune response, in which memory cells develop, and these memory cells are responsible for exaggerated immune response against subsequent exposure to the same antigen, right? And this basically strategy is used to vaccinate. So we were talking about hypersensitivity disorders. So same mechanisms are utilized as the innate and adaptive immune response, and various effector cells and mediators of inflammation to cause the manifestation of hypersensitivity disorder. But the difference is the immune response is aberrant, excessive, and uncontrollable. And why? Because the stimuli which initiate these immune responses are present in the environment, like in the form of environmental antigens, dust, animal dander, pollens, commensal microorganisms. So they are difficult to eliminate, and therefore these disorders are chronic, progressive, and they poses major therapeutic challenges in clinical medicines. Once, because of any antigen, once the immune system in hypersensitivity disorder, once it is initiated, then the body has many built-in positive feedback loops, and which amplify this cascade, and therefore these disorders are difficult to control. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Yell and Coons basically classified the hypersensitivity disorder into 4: type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4 hypersensitivity reactions. And this classification is basically based on the type of the immune response and the effector mechanism which are responsible for the damage at the cellular or tissue level. If we talk about type 1 hypersensitivity disorder, it is basically IgG mediated. Type 2 is antibody mediated. If we talk about type 3 hypersensitivity disorder, then it is immune complex mediated. And the only hypersensitivity disorder which is T cell mediated is type 4 hypersensitivity disorder. Okay, so first three are antibody mediated, and the fourth one is T cell mediated. This is roughly shows the differences. Broadly classified, type 1 hypersensitivity disorder is also called immediate because the response occurs immediately after encountering the antigen. It is mediated by immunoglobulin E. Th2 cells plays an important role. And the main responder cells are mast cells, eosinophils, and their mediators in the form of vasoactive amines, lipid mediators, and cytokines. So, do you know what are Th2 cells? Anyone?
Two cells
Ma'am,
and
helper cells, T lymphocytes.
granuloma form.
Th2 cells are one of the type of helper T cells. Very good. And what is the difference? What are different other types of helper T cells?
Helper 1 cells and it's involved in granuloma formation.
Very
So
good. Th1
T regulatory cells.
regulatory. Very good. Excellent. Good.
17 cells.
Th17 cells. Very good. Okay, that's good enough. So helper T cells have divided into different cells. So let's go through this. Let me tell you, because this we'll be talking about this more and more in detail. So let's revise this description here. Can you see the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
मैम इसे मैक्सिमाइज कर दें.
I'm doing. ये भी complete नहीं आ रहा. तो कैसे करना है? Sorry, let us fix the slide. So we were talking about helper, because we will be discussing about the different types of these helper T cells. So let's revise how many type of T cells are there. Upon antigen exposure, the naive T cells, naive means those who have not encountered an antigen, depending on the type of the pathogen or insert, like infections, toxin, vaccine, the helper T cells, they can differentiate into Th1 cells, Th2 cells, Th17s, or regulatory T cells. And the difference is these cells perform different functions via producing different cytokines. The cytokines of Th1 cells are different, like it produces interferon gamma, interleukin 1, and it provides cell-mediated immune response. Th2 cells produce antibody-mediated immune response and plays an important role against parasitic infestations. And these Th2 cells help B cells to transform into IgE producing plasma cells. Again, Th17 is a relatively newer subtype of helper T cells, which plays an important role in providing extracellular defense against extracellular bacteria and also mediates inflammatory response. And last but not the least, regulatory T cells, they play an important role in immune tolerance by suppressing the immune response. Okay, is it clear? So, because we will keep on discussing about Th2 and Th1, so it was important to revise this here. Now, coming to the differences between the hypersensitivity disorder, it is type 1 is called immediate, it is IgE mediated, Th2 cells play an important role, and mast cell eosinophils and vasoactive mediators are the responders. Next is antibody mediated or type 2 hypersensitivity reaction. This is mediated by IgM or IgG antibodies against fixed cell surface or extracellular matrix antigens. And if we talk about the mechanism, what mechanisms they use is opsonization and phagocytosis of the antigens, and complement and Fc receptor mediated complement activation, which results in activation of neutrophils, macrophages, and at times type 2 hypersensitivity reaction also cause abnormalities in cellular functions, like these antibodies bind to the hormone receptor signaling or neurotransmitter receptor. We'll discuss in detail. Then if we talk about the immune complex mediate, then what happens in type 3 hypersensitivity reaction? Antigen antibody complexes form, and these circulating complexes, which are mostly of IgG or IgM, they get deposit in different tissues and cause the disease. And the mechanism is again complement activation and Fc mediated receptor, which activates different leukocytes. Do you know about complement system? What is it?
C5a, C3.
C3A, C5A, C3B, C5B.
These are the proteins, complement proteins. Very good. How many types of complement systems are there?
3.
3. Very good. The complement system, it means the complement system can be activated via 3 different mechanisms. One is classical, other is alternative, and the third is lectin MBL or lectin pathway. So these are the mechanism involved in type 2, 3 hypersensitivity reaction. And if we talk about type 4, it is cell mediated, CD4 T cell, helper T cells, and among CD4 T cells, Th1. In class 2, we talk about Th2 cells, but in class 4, Th1 response P and Th17 response predominates, along with CD8 positive CTL, cytotoxic T lymphocytes. And how the mechanism of injury is mediated by cytokine mediated inflammatory response or direct target cell killing via cytokine mediated inflammation. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what are the factors involved in hypersensitivity disorders? Geographical distribution plays an important role. Initially, it was thought that the hypersensitivity disorders were more common in urban areas, but this differences is reducing with rapid urbanization and industrialization. Certain environmental factors plays an important role because they many times act as antigens, like air pollution, social climate, social economic status plays an important role. Genetic factors cannot be ignored. Hypersensitivity disorders run in families, and certain susceptibility genes are there which predisposes an individual to these disorders. Then we have hygiene hypothesis. It states that the hypersensitivity, according to hygiene hypothesis, hypersensitivity disorders were seen more common in urban in European countries as compared to Asian countries or less developing countries. The reason being that immune system is well developed. It develops more. It is in a better position to combat to infection if the developing child encounters different infection. Which is lacking in the which was lacking in European countries because of excessive hygiene. So in European, the kids of European countries were more prone to allergic manifestation because of excessive hygiene, and they were unlikely to encounter different pathogens during the development, and that results in diminished sort of development of immune response. Then exposure to certain foods, farm animals predisposes an individual, and certain antibiotics, especially during infancy, and cytokine milieu. It means that cytokines. What are cytokines? Anyone? Okay, these are chemical mediators which plays an important role in carrying out the different functions of immune cells. So so that the like in Th1 response, interleukin 1 and TNF interferon gamma is more predominant, and in atopic individuals IgE is Th2 response predominates. So this is also makes a difference. So here this diagram shows that certain genes are involved in predisposing an individual to allergic disorders, and then environments like these disorders are less allergic disorders are less common in developing countries because of repeated exposure to certain infections, large family size, rural homes, livestock, and low antibiotic use, high helminthic burden also reduces the risk of allergic manifestation. On the other hand, they were more common allergic disorders in the form of asthma, eczema, and rhinitis. They were more common in westernized countries, which have small family size and urban homes, and they have use antibiotic use is more common in these individuals. So type 1 hypersensitivity reaction. By definition, it is rapid IgE and mast cell mediated vascular and smooth muscle reaction to previously exposed antigens, often accompanied by inflammation. So, type 1 hypersensitivity reaction is rapid and IgE and mast cell mediated vascular and smooth muscle reaction to previously exposed antigens, which is often accompanied by inflammation. This is also known as immediate or anaphylactic hypersensitivity reaction, and as we have already mentioned that it is mediated by IgE disorders, and symptoms ranges from minor inconvenience to death, and the reaction usually occurs within minutes after exposure to the repeat exposure of the same antigen. The first exposure does not lead to clinical manifestation of an allergic disorder, but at times the reactions are delayed to 10 to 12 hours. Primary cells are mast cells and basophils, which can also be demonstrated at the reaction site in biopsy. Few words about immunoglobulin E. It is present in very small amount in blood, in nanograms. Half-life is very 2 to 3 days in unbound state. But once after producing immunoglobulin E, if they bound to the receptors, which is known as Fc epsilon R1 receptor on mast cell, then the half-life increases to around 3 weeks. And these cells are present at high density, around 40 to 50,000 per cells on the mast cells. So what are different types of hypersensitivity? What could be the manifestations of hypersensitivity disorders? Anyone? What examples? Sorry? What are different examples or types of? Yes. Someone said anaphylaxis? Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough. Very good. It is a extreme
Asthma.
Systemic hypersensitivity reaction, systemic effects. Anaphylaxis is a good example. Any other?
Asthma.
Asthma, good. Very good.
Allergic rhinitis.
Allergic rhinitis, good. Any other example? Hay fever, which is again allergic rhinitis. Okay, so there are different types of type 1 hypersensitivity reaction. Systemic the severest systemic manifestation of type 1 hypersensitivity reaction is anaphylaxis, or also called anaphylactic shock. When the pulmonary system is involved, then the patient manifests asthma. If the nasal mucosa is involved, then patient manifests allergic rhinitis, or also known as hay fever. In eyes, it represents allergic conjunctivitis. Skin reactions, nobody recalls skin reactions, are also there, and they are termed as urticaria and eczema. And when these antigens involve gastrointestinal tract, then they manifest in the form of food allergies.
मैम पैरासिटिक इन्फेस्टेशंस जो होती हैं उनमें भी टाइप 1 हाइपरसेंसिटिविटी रिएक्शन नहीं होगा?
जी बिल्कुल, एग्जैक्टली. टाइप पैरासिटिक, बेसिकली there is a difference. Very good question. There is a difference. You see, in parasitic infestation, basically the immune system produces IgE antibodies to combat the infection. So this is the normal function of IgE antibodies to provide protection against parasitic infestation, because parasites mostly they are very large in size. They cannot be phagocytosed, they cannot be killed. So what IgE does, it secretes its granules into the parasites to kill it. So this is the normal function of IgE antibodies, to provide protection against parasitic infestation. Therefore, IgE is raised in parasitic infections. Yeah? Whereas hypersensitivity is pathology, right? That was the physiology, normal physiology. Now, again, hypersensitivity is mediated via IgE antibodies, but it is not a normal condition. It is not required. We don't want to become allergic to the innocuous antigens which are present in the environment. So this is the pathologic condition which is mediated via IgE antibodies. Why? The reason being, the mast cells plays an important role in these manifestations, and those mast cells have receptors for IgE antibody. When IgE, we will discuss in subsequent slides, when IgE binds with those receptors, then those granules are from mast cells are released in the form that they are histamine, serotonin, and these mediators called the manifestation of hypersensitivity disorder in the form of food allergies, urticaria, rhinorrhea. Is it clear?
Yes,
one is physiology and the other is pathology. So this is the main difference. Don't get confused. So we were discussing about type 1 hypersensitivity reaction. The manifestation is diverse, ranging from minor inconvenience to fatal condition, and depends upon the amount and the route of allergen antigen, entry of allergens, and the site or tissue where the mast cells are activated. It could be local or systemic. So if the allergen is irritating the nasal mucosa, then the patient will manifest hay fever or sinusitis. And what results, what is the underlying pathology? Because it occurs due to inflammation in the nasal mucosa and increased mucus secretion. When bronchial tissues are bronchial airways are involved, then patient manifests as patient presents with asthma, and which results from bronchial hyperresponsiveness due to smooth muscle contraction, inflammation, and late phase reactions. Then certain foods irritate the gut, and they cause increased peristalsis due to the contraction of smooth muscle. And the systemic manifestation of severe type 1 hypersensitivity reaction is called anaphylaxis. It is basically a life-threatening situation, and due to the what happens, there is a wide spread degranulation of mast cells, and the mediators which release, they cause vascular dilatation, which results in fall in blood pressure, laryngeal edema, and which causes airway obstruction. So this is basically a life-threatening condition. Anyone know the treatment of anaphylaxis? What is immediately given?
Epinephrine.
Epinephrine. Good. Initially, one should be administering subcutaneous epinephrine, and by the time patient is reached hospital for the support, airway circulation support, and all the rest of the management. So what happens in type 1 hypersensitivity reaction? Mast cells play an important role. It contains granules, and these granules contains primary and secondary mediators, and these mediators causes increased peristalsis and secretion of fluid secretion, which results in diarrhea, vomiting, and in airways it causes congestion, blockage of the airways, and in blood vessel increases the blood flow and increased permeability. So these are the manifestations. What happens is preferential or pathological production of IgE in response to certain allergen, because the hypersensitivity reactions are mostly dealt with, or the adaptive immune system is involved in these hypersensitivity reaction. So they are highly specific. Like if a person is allergic to one, mostly the patients are allergic to one antigen, but certain patient may be allergic to more than one individuals. So they respond to the allergic individuals respond by producing higher amounts of IgE, which bound to its receptor on mast cell and basophils, and when there is first exposure to the allergen, it does not produce the clinical manifestation. Subsequent exposure to the same allergen basically causes cross-linking, which I'll show in next slides, of IgE, which is already bound on the surface of mast cell, and it causes release of pharmacologically active mediators, which causes inflammation, and these reaction causes increased calcium influx into the cytoplasm, which basically causes degranulation of the preformed mediators in the granules of the mast cell. So this diagram here, this is the first encounter of an allergen. Here you can see this is an allergen. This allergen is bind to B cell. Here it is acting as an antigen presenting cell, and it presents antigen to naive CD4 T cells. These naive CD4 T cells differentiate into Th2 response, and that Th2 response produces interleukin 4, interleukin 13, which transforms B cells into plasma cells, and the plasma cells increase. What it does, it causes increased production of IgE against that particular allergen, and that IgE will bound on the surface of the mast cell receptors, and this stage is known as sensitization. So mast cells become sensitized. Up till this stage, patients do not manifest any signs and symptoms of allergic disease. All right. Now, what happens on the subsequent encounter with the same allergen? The cross-linking of IgE occurs, and this cross-linking of IgE, which was already bound on the surface of mast cells, cause degranulation of the mast cells, and these vasoactive amines causes the manifestation like smooth muscle contraction, blood vessels, mucous gland secretion, depend on the site and the stimulus which has initiated the allergic response. Here this is same antigen enters. It is presented by antigen presenting cell in association with MHC molecules. Th2 cells forms, which produces IgE, which attach to the mast cell and they release the granules. So this diagram basically only shows that how and what actually causes the mast cell degranulation. Normal in a normal individual, when antigen will enter into the body, the IgE will produce, but in small amount. It will not produce to that much amount. So the small amount of IgE won't be present with high density on the mast cell. In contrast, in allergic individuals, excessive amount of IgE produced, which is present in a huge number on the surface of mast cells, and the subsequent exposure with the same allergen will bring these IgE, which is bound to the Ig receptor, which is called Fc epsilon R1 receptor on the mast cell and base of it, and this subsequent allergen exposure results in cross-linking or linking of IgE bound to their receptors, and this lead to rapid degranulation of mast cells, leading to the release of primary inflammatory mediators, which are stored in the granules, and secondary mediators, which are later on synthesized de novo, right? So pathogenesis broadly can be divided into two phases: immediate, which occurs within minutes after the repeat exposure of the allergen, and late, which take few hours. And in this atopy is basically increased tendency. Certain individuals are called atopic, which means that individual has increased predisposition to Th2 response to foreign chemicals, and it produces Th2 cells. We know produces interleukin 3-4, which causes IgE production and which leads to sensitization, repeat exposure, cross-linking, and release of granules. So here is the list of primary mediators. Histamine, serotonin causes vascular permeability, smooth muscle contraction. Then we have chemotactic factors. What is chemotaxis? What do you mean by chemotaxis?
Ma'am, chemotaxis chemicals which increase the recruitment of leukocytes and inflammatory cells.
Okay, directional movement due to presence of chemicals or the so eosinophil and neutrophil chemotactic factors causes chemotaxis of the eosinophil and neutrophils, and then proteases causes regranulation. Then we have secondary mediators, leukotrienes, platelet activating factors, prostaglandins, bradykinins, and cytokines, which which these basically mediators produces a response like smooth muscle contraction and platelet activation, vasodilation, which results in the clinical manifestation of hypersensitivity disorder. So initial is sensitization phase, which leads to activation phase, which basically results in the clinical manifestation of different types of hypersensitivity, type 1 hypersensitivity reaction, and the allergens may be insect venom, food, pollens, dust mite. Which foods are more commonly involved in producing type 1 hypersensitivity? Any idea?
Nuts, eggs, fish.
Yes.
Peanuts.
Any other? Sorry?
Peanuts.
Yes, very good. Peanut allergy is, common in Western countries. Dairy, seafoods, dairy products, these are common.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Will we include the lactose intolerance in this type 1 hypersensitivity?
That is different. That is intolerance is different, and because it is irritability. That lactose intolerance is not actually hypersensitivity disorders. Hypersensitivity disorders are only those which are mediated by immunoglobulins or T cells. Whereas the intolerance is many times the difference between hypersensitivity and irritant reaction is combined, but actually they are different. So lactose intolerance is depends if the underlying mechanisms are those which fall into any one of the type of hypersensitivity reaction, if it is IgE mediated in IgM, IgG, then it can, but mostly it does not involve these immunoglobulins or T cells, so it is not categorized as the hypersensitivity disorder. It is called intolerance, therefore it is not said. So what are the properties of inhaled allergens? They are mostly protein, because only proteins can induce an T cell response. They are enzymatically active, and they are proteases which help them to degrade the extracellular matrix. Low dose favors activation of CD4 T cells. They are mostly mostly they are low molecular weight, highly soluble, so which make them easy to move through the airways and different tissues of the body, and stable. They cannot be destroyed by the acid or in the stomach, or the normal protective mechanisms which are present in the mucosa of human body, and contains so what are the common allergens which are associated with type 1 hypersensitivity? If we talk about the proteins, foreign serum is a big example. Certain vaccines, because vaccines at times itself may cause hypersensitivity reaction, and many at times vaccines have adjuvants like alum or certain other components which are required for the development, which are incorporated during the development of vaccines. They may cause hypersensitivity disorder. And certain plant pollens are common, like in Islamabad, pepper mulberry is most common. Pepper mulberry.
कल से इतनी चाय देना मम्मी.
डॉक्टर ला रहे हैं, अब आपका माइक ऑन है.
Animal hair, moles. Remember, mast cells, we have, up till now, we have learned that mast cell have receptors for IgE antibodies, and once IgE gets attached to its receptor, it causes activation of mast cell, which causes the degranulation of mast cell and release of chemically active mediators. But remember that mast cells may also be stimulated by other stimuli other than allergies, like not every, but in certain individuals, like exercise, emotional stress, certain chemicals like photographic developing medium, and calcium ionophores and codeine. Then we have anaphylotoxins. What are anaphylotoxins?
Which induce anaphylaxis.
Mediators that cause anaphylaxis.
They cause anaphylaxis. Very good.
मैम वीडियो क्यों स्टक हो गई है?
Ma'am, we can't hear you.
Ma'am,
आवाज भी नहीं आ रही.
आवाज नहीं आ रही सर? Can you hear me? Is it clear?
अभी आ रही, बीच में बिल्कुल स्टक हो गई थी.
तो आपने बताया नहीं.
प्लीज अपने एंड पर भी थोड़ा चेक कर लें, यहाँ पर ऑल क्लियर है.
मैम हमारी एंड पे क्लियर है. Okay, I think few individuals are facing this problem. Kindly check your connection, because here it's working fine. Okay, so bear in mind that mast cells can also be activated by certain other stimuli. And these are the examples. So these reactions are not hypersensitivity reactions. They are called because they are called anaphylactoid reactions. Like anaphylactoid. The term anaphylactoid is used to denote these reactions because they are not mediated by any of the mechanism. They are not mediated by IgE antibodies, and these stimuli directly activate mast cell and causes the degranulation. A2P. A2P, basically, it is a genetic tendency to develop allergic diseases such as allergic rhinitis, asthma, atopic dermatitis. Individuals may have any one of them, or certain individuals may have all three of them. An individual may have, allergic rhinitis. In majority of patient, allergic rhinitis do after a few years they also develop asthma, and in certain individuals with atopic dermatitis may also have allergic rhinitis. So they may combine. What A2P is increase, certain genes are involved which differentially produces, or in these individuals the Th2 response predominates, which produces increased amount of IgE, and these atopic individuals 80% have hypersensitivity reactions so the chances of hypersensitivity reaction is very increased in atopic individuals as compared to a normal individual. And how the atopic status can be identified? Which test can tell us the atopic tendency of an individual?
Eosinophil count.
Sorry?
IG levels.
IG, very good. Normally, IG level is not increased in every type 1 hypersensitivity reaction, right? And it is not routinely recommended. But in atopic individuals, IG, because they have genetic predisposition, so atopic individuals mostly they have higher IgE levels, and these disorders run in families. So, and there appears to be a genetic predisposition for atopic diseases because of association with HLA2 association. What are HLA molecules? What are HLA molecules? Anyone?
MHC.
Very good. Also called MSC. How many types of MSC are there?
MSC class 1 and class 2.
Okay, very good. MSC class 1, class 2 and class 3 is also there, but that is not involved in the antigen presentation. It encodes proteins for complement system. So how do we diagnose? We have a skin prick test.
Ma'am, video stuck.
If you
And
are
no voice.
if you are you are sitting in a clinic and a patient comes with very high IgE levels, so what differentials comes in your mind?
Atopy, allergic.
Yes, atopic. Good. Any other?
Asthma, ma'am.
Allergic rhinitis.
हेलमेंथिक इन्फेक्शंस हो सकते हैं, कोई भी एलर्जीज हो सकती है,
Aspergillosis.
Okay. Parasitic infestation. Mostly in other allergies, IgE level is not raised, but yes, they can be raised in different type of hypersensitivity, type 1 hypersensitivity reaction. Then very rare IgE myeloma may be there, which is very rare, but the most common is parasitic infestation. Then we can diagnose by specific IgE antibodies against the suspected allergens. So the different methods can be used to identify those antibodies. We have a list of allergens, and we test the patient against those allergens and find out that that particular patient is allergic to which of the allergen. Like in Karachi, dust allergy and the cockroach calyx allergy, antigens of cockroach calyx are very common, and most of the people are allergic to the dust mites and those cockroaches. Treatment options are broadly classified into pharmacological options in the form of antihistamines, which block type 1 and 2 H2 receptors, H1 and H2 receptors. Then we have cromolyn sodium, which blocks calcium influx. Remember, we told that the mast cells increased calcium ions causes degranulation of mast cells. So cromolyn sodium blocks this calcium influx. And then we have theophylline, epinephrine, especially for anaphylaxis reaction. Corticosteroids are also used in certain especially refractory cases, and they reduces histamine levels by blocking the conversion of histidine to histamine. And then we have immunotherapy. Nowadays antibodies, monoclonal antibodies have developed which can specifically bind to the IgE antibodies, and they can provide curative treatment against hypersensitivity or allergic disorders. Then we have desensitization or hypersensitization, in which patient is given a repeated injection of the exact allergen to which he or she is allergic, and that causes a shift in the IgE response. Basically, the basis of immunotherapy or desensitization is the treatment depends. It's a prolonged treatment over 3 to 5 years, and the individual is given small doses of repeated allergen, and this repeated very small tolerable, so that patient do not develop anaphylaxis. The repeated small doses of allergen will causes the shift of IgE into IgG, and after a few months the patients start responding, and that once the IgE is converted into IgG, then it won't bind to the mast cell receptors which are specifically responsible to bind IgE, and this causes the cure. It provides cure, and nowadays it is a hot topic of treatment for discussing hypersensitivity disorders, and patient is many patients have responded to this hypersensitization or immunotherapy. Then we have type 2 hypersensitivity reaction, which is caused by specific antibody to cells or tissue antigens, mostly mediated by IgM or IgG antibodies, and the mechanism are ADCC, antibody dependent cell mediated cytotoxicity, or complement activation. What do you mean by ADCC? Any idea about antibody dependent cell mediated cytotoxicity?
No, ma'am.
Cytotoxic cells.
Okay. Basically, what happens that antibodies bind to the antigen by the variable site, and the fixed component bind to the receptors on the cytotoxic cells like macrophages and NK cells. So the affected cell is killed by these macrophages or NK cells. So this is known as antibody dependent cell mediated cytotoxicity. Examples include ABO incompatibility reactions and certain autoimmune disorders like rheumatic fever, autoimmune hemolytic anemia, idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, Goodpasture syndrome. Then we have hemolytic disease of the newborn is a special example, and in which there is destruction of fetal RBCs occurs. This is the ADCC. These are two mechanisms of type 2 hypersensitivity. Right? This is complement activation. Complement is activated by classical pathway, right? In type 2 hypersensitivity reaction. And the end product of complement activation is what? What is the end product of complement pathway activation? Any idea? Complement system is activated, you rightly mentioned, via three pathways: classical, alternate, and lectin pathway. And what is the end product of any of these three pathways? What forms? Complement activation forms what?
C2 to C9 and then MAC.
C.
MAC.
MAC. Very good. MAC. It is written here MAC. C5 to C9. These complement proteins combine on the cell on which complement was activated, and it produces membrane attack complex known as MAC, which causes pores, and these pores result in hemolysis of the affected cell. So this is one mechanism. Other is antibody dependent cell mediated cytotoxicity. Here you can see these are NK cells and macrophages, and they have receptors for immunoglobulin, and they destroy this is NK cell and macrophages, and here these antibodies are bound, and these antibody mediated cell mediated these bind antibodies activate NK cells to kill the affected cell. Therefore, it is called antibody dependent cell mediated cytotoxicity, because the killing occurs via these cells, which is via an intermediate antibody attachment. Is it clear? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Then this is a well-known example of erythroblastosis fetalis, which occurs when the fetus is Rh positive in an Rh negative mother during delivery. Or what happens, these Rh positive RBCs reach in the maternal circulation, and in first pregnancy always goes uneventful. And if the ROGAM is given, which is anti-Rh antibodies, then the mother won't get sensitized with these Rh positive RBCs, and it will prevent the B cell activation and memory cell formation, which may harm the baby in subsequent pregnancies. And if the ROGAM is not given, then what happens? Nowadays, this every Rh negative mother is given ROGAM to prevent the subsequent pregnancies. And if the ROGAM is not given, then what happens? The next pregnancy, mother already gets sensitized with Rh positive individual. Second pregnancy, first pregnancy led to the formation of memory cells, and which causes increased protection of IgG against these Rh positive cells. And IgG has a capability which antibody can penetrate placenta.
Immunoglobulin A.
IgG.
IgA is present in mucosal surfaces. It provides protection of lining mucosas. IgG only is the only antibody which can cross the placenta. So these IgG antibodies can cross the placenta and may harm the developing fetus, resulting in erythroblastosis fetalis in the absence of prevention with ROGAM. So other examples of type 2 hypersensitivity reaction involve antibodies may bind to certain cell receptors or proteins, and either cause their dysfunction without inflammation or tissue damage. And examples include myasthenia gravis, in which antibodies are bind to the thyroid stimulating hormone receptor, and Graves' disease, and nicotinic acetylcholine receptor in myasthenia gravis. And what happens? These antibodies, after binding, they prevent the normal function. Here you can see this is myasthenia gravis. Antibodies are produced against the acetylcholine receptors. Now the acetylcholine, which is released by the nerve end plates, cannot bind to the receptors, and this will cause the blockage of nerve transmission and result in myasthenia gravis. Here you can see the mechanism is different. The only these antibodies have interfere with the normal physiology. There's no inflammation, there's no ADCC, there's no complement activation. And in Graves' disease, what happens? Antibodies bind to the thyroid stimulating hormone receptors and causes increased production of thyroxine, leading to hyperthyroidism. So these are the other example of type 2 hypersensitivity reaction. Then type 3 hypersensitivity reactions mediated by immune complexes, essentially of IgG antibodies with soluble antigen. So what is the difference between type 2 and type 3? Both are IgM or IgG dependent. Can you summarize the difference? Have you appreciated the difference between the two?
टाइप 3 में कॉम्प्लेक्सेस बनते हैं, टाइप 2 में नहीं बनते.
Yes, this is the main. In type 2 hypersensitivity reaction, antibodies bind to fixed solid antigens in the cell surface or intercellular. Whereas in type 3 hypersensitivity reaction, the antibodies bind with soluble antigens. They are not fixed. They are present in the plasma, and these antigen antibody complexes, after formation, they get deposited in different organs and cause diseases. Like the local example is Arthus reaction, which is induced by subcutaneous injection of antigen, which the host has IgG already immunized by protection of IgG, and it is basically the Arthus reaction is an example of localized vasculitis, which results from the formation of immune complexes at the site of where the antigen has entered, and it occurs by activation of Fc epsilon R3 on mast cell, which causes degranulation of mast cells, and it takes hours. Here you can see this is the antigen, and remember this individual is already immune to that antigen, so it has already has antibodies. After entering the antigen, it will bind to the antigen antibody complexes form will activate the complement system and release anaphylatoxins, which causes mast cell degranulation and also result in the histamine release and other mediators. Then the Arthus reaction was a localized form of type 3 hypersensitivity reaction. If we talk about generalized reaction, then sufficient amount of antigen antibody at times complexes form, and which are poorly cleared. Normally in our body, wear and tear goes on, and these immune complexes are formed, but they are rapidly cleared from the body. But in certain conditions, increased amount of antigen antibody complexes are formed, and these they are not rapidly cleared, and they deposit in high hydrostatic pressures such as kidneys, synovium, capillaries, and these impair their normal function via inflammation and cause injury. Examples include systemic lupus erythematosus, in which patients present with nephritis, vasculitis, arthritis, polyarthritis nodosa, post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, CM sickness, in which there is systemic vasculitis, and Arthus reaction, which is a local cutaneous vasculitis. Then we have type 4 hypersensitivity reaction, which is T cell mediated, and against the immune reaction is against environmental antigens. Mechanism involved CD4 and CD8 cells. Effector cells are macrophages and neutrophils, and they present antigens to these bound to MHC molecules to specific T cells. Cytokines are produced, but the consequence, the disease manifestation is late. Reaction occurs after 48 to 72 hours, therefore also called delayed type hypersensitivity reaction. And the main response is Th1, which causes interferon gamma production in interleukin 1, and Th2 response, which causes inflammatory. Here you can see the antigen presenting cells presenting antigen to CD4 T cells, which differentiate into Th1 cells. These Th1 cells secrete cytokines to activate macrophage, which are the main effector cells of MHC type 4 hypersensitivity reactions. Examples, what are the examples, common examples of type 4 hypersensitivity reaction? Any example?
Ma'am, TB?
Very good. Any other?
Contact dermatitis.
Candida infection skin test.
Very good. Rheumatoid arthritis, type 1 diabetes mellitus.
Hepatitis.
Yes, hepatitis.
Hepatitis.
Very good. Very good. These are the examples of. So what happens? Th1 drive cytokines are released and they cause chemokines which recruit macrophages, interferon gamma, and all these chemical mediators. And this is example of contact dermatitis. Here you can see what happens. The sensitizing antigen when it enters and penetrates the skin and forms complexes, and these are presented to Th1 cells which secrete cytokines, activates keratinocytes and macrophages, and produces a local reaction. Here it is example of contact dermatitis. Here like this the lesions appear. Granulomatous inflammation is another example of type 4 hypersensitivity reaction, which
Graft versus host disease.
graft versus host disease, yes, and it results in what are epithelioid cells? What are
Clusters of
epithelioid
macrophages.
macrophages? Epithelioid cells are basically macrophages, activated macrophages, which form the granuloma. So this is basically the differences. This chart shows the differences between all type 1, type 2, type 3 hypersensitivity reactions. Type 1 is IgE mediated, mostly the reaction is immediate. Type 2 is mediated against antibodies against FISC antigen. In type 3, immune complexes form which get deposited and cause disease. Type 4 is cell-mediated delayed hypersensitivity reaction. Is it clear? Any question? So, what do you think that type a child disturbed the West Nile and was stung after some time? He went into shock. What could be the underlying reason of this?
Systemic anaphylaxis.
Systemic anaphylaxis.
Systemic anaphylaxis.
Systemic anaphylaxis.
Why? Reason? What are the reasons of this? Very rightly mentioned.
Shock.
Shock, yes. Immediate reaction. And West is known allergen for anaphylaxis. Immediate and shock is one of the clinical features of anaphylaxis. Okay.
Type 1 hypersensitivity reaction.
Immune complex hypersensitivity is characterized by which is the best option?
Deposition of antigen antibody complexes.
Which?
Deposition of antigen antibody complexes.
Deposition of antigen antibody complex. Very good. T cell mediated is a type 4. Antigen is a part of a cell membrane, occurs in which hypersensitivity?
Type 1.
No, 2. Degranulation of mast cells occurs in
Type 1.
type 1.
Type 1 hypersensitivity reaction.
Type 1 hypersensitivity reaction is mediated by which is the correct option?
IgE bound on mast cell and basophils.
IgE bound on mast cell and base. Okay. Fair enough. Thank you. So this is all about hypersensitivity reactions. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
मैम एक क्वेश्चन है.
Yes.
मैम SLE को हम लेते हैं टाइप 3 हाइपरसेंसिटिविटी रिएक्शन में. तो मैम बाकी जितनी ऑटोइम्यून डिजीजेस होती हैं वो टाइप 3 में फॉल क्यों नहीं करती?
Very good question. Very good question. Actually, remember one thing. Whenever you talk about autoimmune disorders, they fall in any of the 4 types of hypersensitivity disorder. Number 1, right? Now you have learned the underlying mechanism. Now you have to see what is going in the pathogenesis. What happens in SLE? You tell me. What is the basic pathology in SLE? गलत भी बोल दें कोई मसला नहीं. Even if you say wrong, it doesn't matter. You will learn a lot.
Systemic involvement में
एंटीबॉडी कॉम्प्लेक्सेस बनते हैं,
एंटीबॉडीज कॉम्प्लेक्सेस बन जाते हैं.
Very
ऑटो
good.
इम्यूनिटी.
वेरी गुड. और मोस्ट कॉमन कौन सी एंटीबॉडीज बनती है? प्लीज गलत भी बोलें.
न्यूट्रोफिल साइटोप्लाज्मिक एंटीबॉडीज, ANCA.
ANCA, okay. ANCA, basically these are antibodies of vasculitis. Most common मैं बता रही हूँ, SLE ANA, anti-nuclear antibodies. ANA, anti-nuclear antibodies are produced in SLE. These antibodies form complexes with the nuclear material, and they form immune complexes which deposit in different, like kidneys, skin. Therefore, SLE affects from head to toe. It has different manifestations because of antigen antibody complexes which form against different antibodies, which get deposited in different tissues and cells of the body. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
And if we talk about myasthenia gravis, this is also an autoimmune disorder, and that the mechanism is entirely different. No antigen antibody complex is formed. The antibodies directly bind to the acetylcholine receptors and they block the normal function. So, see the difference between the two pathogenesis of the two, right? So, you by knowing the exact pathogenesis, you can figure out what type of hypersensitivity reaction it is, and then you would be able to yourself make it out that okay, this disease falls in this type of hypersensitivity reaction. In SLE, the book says that both type 3 and type 2 hypersensitivity reactions occurs because it causes SLE is a well-known autoimmune disorder. It causes immune complexes along with antibodies against RBCs and platelets and other components, and so it some researchers says that both type 2 and type 3 hypersensitivity reactions are present in the pathogenesis of systemic lupus erythematosus. Is it clear?
Clear.
Okay, good. Any question? Do you want me to take a break of 5-10 minutes or we should continue with the next lecture?
मैम एक और क्वेश्चन है.
जी
मैम टाइप 1 हाइपरसेंसिटिविटी के ट्रीटमेंट्स में आपकी स्लाइड में मेंशन हुआ था क्रोमोलिन सोडियम, लेकिन उससे पहले एक स्लाइड थी जिसमें लिखा हुआ था कि अगर कैल्शियम जो है वो ज्यादा होगी तो डीग्रैन्युलेशन भी ज्यादा होगी. लेकिन मैम क्रोमोलिन सोडियम तो मास्ट सेल्स की साइटोप्लाज्मिक एंट्री को कम नहीं कर देती, सॉरी कैल्शियम एंट्री को कम नहीं कर देती.
तभी तो वो मास्ट सेल डीग्रैन्युलेशन रोक रहा है, तभी तो हम क्रोमोलिन सोडियम दे रहे हैं. बेसिकली गेटिंग माई पॉइंट. लेट मी चेक हियर. मैं आपको बता रही हूँ कि यहाँ पे हमने ये बात की थी कि होता क्या है कि mast cell granulation is preceded by increased calcium influx, right? And this calcium promote degranulation. Clear? That during pathogenesis, the intracellular calcium concentration goes up, right? This is the pathology going in. And what we are doing? We are giving cromolyn sodium which decreases intracellular calcium. So, it will prevent degranulation. हम opposite करेंगे ना treatment के लिए.
ओके मैम.
Clear?
यस मैम.
उनकी रिक्वेस्ट है फर्स्ट 3 स्लाइड्स अगर रिपीट.
Sure. Do you just want to visualize or you want me to go through? It's a definition basically. We all know that normal immune system is responsible to provide protection against foreign antigens, maybe in the form of infections or environmental antigens or at times tumor cells. But if we talk about hypersensitivity, by definition, it is inadequately controlled aberrant and excessive immune response against host tissues, which is triggered by harmless environmental antigens or common commercial microorganism. Is it clear? So, hypersensitivity disease manifestation can manifest in the form of autoimmunity when the reaction against self-antigens may occur in the may result from reaction against microbes, which are usually persistent and causes excessive. Actually, what happens? The immune system the immune response is initiated against those microbes which are persistently present, but because the reaction is excessive, it also damages the host tissues, which results in hypersensitivity reaction. And the third one is that the reaction against environmental antigens. The trigger is the environmental ubiquitous or innocuous antigens, but because the response is excessive and aberrant, it also damages the host tissues. Is it clear? Any other question?
Type 4 hypersensitivity वाली दिखा दे slide पे.
Which one? Sorry? Can you
Type
please
4
repeat?
hypersensitivity. Type 4 hypersensitivity.
This slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Holmes टेस्ट वाली तो कोई स्लाइड थी नहीं.
MCQs again, क्योंकि आप बहुत जल्दी चल रही थी तो I was unable to catch up.
Okay, you can stop me. You can ask me to, slow down.
Thank you, Sammy.
I can repeat if anything is missed, or if I've gone through some content very fast. You can ask me to slow down anytime during the lecture, even in next lecture also. At times I assume that we have already discussed this thing, and or I assume that this is all we are well aware, so I go through it without giving more excessive emphasis. So you may ask me to slow down anytime. At the of lecture, I can't understand. Ma'am, please share the slides at the lecture, end of the lecture.
I'm sorry, it has been said number of times. Slide sharing or video recording is not permitted as per CPSB policy.
मैम MCQ रिवाइज करवा दें एक दफा. I just
Sorry. Which one?
अभी जो आपने आखिर में करवाए थे ना, if you can just write those, especially last 2 वाले थे.
This MCQs. Okay, MCQs. Type 1 hypersensitivity reaction is mediated via
IgE
bound on.
Ma'am, IgE.
Yes, you're right. It is bound on mast cell and basophils. Yes, you're right.
Bound on basically.
Type 1 hypersensitivity reaction is mediated by IgE antibody, which is bound on mast cell and basophils. Right?
जी मैम, जी.
Then we talk about immune complex hypersensitivity is characterized by
Deposition of antigen antibody complexes.
very good. Deposition of antigen antibody complexes. See, the difference between type 2 and type 3 is this. In type 2, both is mediated by antibodies, but Type 2, the antigen is not soluble. It is fixed, integral part of the cell membrane or intercellular part. But in the type 3, the antigen is soluble and it is not fixed to any cell surface and it causes antigen antibody complex. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, can you repeat?
A child disturbed the wasp nest and was stung. After some time, he went to shock due to systemic anaphylaxis.
Yes, very good. A child disturbed the wasp nest and he got stung. After a few minutes, he went into shock. What could be the underlying pathology? Arthur's reaction? Arthur's reaction is localized type hypersensitivity reaction, cytotoxic hypersensitivity, delayed type of hypersensitivity, serum sickness, or systemic anaphylaxis. What is the correct answer?
Systemic anaphylaxis.
Yes, very good. Is it clear?